Hello, welcome to Tech Digest for January 21st. We started with a massive day for automotive security. Pwn2Own Automotive 2026 in Tokyo. So is going, and security researchers absolutely dismantled Tesla's defenses. A French research team, Syntactive, demonstrated a staggering 37 zero-day vulnerabilities. So they managed to chain exploits to gain root access to the Tesla's infotainment system, and from there pivot to the gateway. That's a critical bridge between the entertainment system and the car's actual driving controls. So it's a stark reminder that as cars become computers on wheels, they inherit all security debt of the modern software. And these are the payouts. Pretty cool. Okay, so moving on. Next up is the breakthrough in AI context windows coming out of MIT. So we are seeing models claim 1 million or 2 million token windows, like Gemini, but they often suffer from context rot, where they forget details in the middle. Or, if you're human, I think that's easy to relate to. If you have a whole book thrown at you, what are you going to um, get out of it? So MIT researchers have introduced a new recursive framework that allows the LLM to process up to 10 million tokens without losing coherence. Instead of feeding everything in at once, the system uses divide and conquer approach, recursively summarizing and indexing blocks of information. This could be the unlock that we need for analyzing entire code bases or massive legal archives in a single pass. So do give it a read. It's not exactly like RAG. A lot of people do this with RAG, but this is different. In space tech, Blue Origin is making a play that isn't just about rockets. They have unveiled TeraWave, a satellite constellation focused entirely on optical performance. Unlike standard RF links, TeraWave uses advanced laser optical intersatellite links to move data at blistering 6 terabits per second. This isn't just consumer internet, this is backbone level infrastructure in orbit. So for network engineers, this implies that the future where space-based routing could actually lower latency for transoceanic traffic compared to undersea cables. This is something that SpaceX has also been mulling. I don't know if they actually ended up creating this, and there's a lot of discussions in Hacker News about that. But it's pretty cool. So basically, you go up from the internet between satellites and down to the consumer. And there's been known stories about people using millimeter waves, for example, to speed up communication between stock exchanges. So this is where the faster speed sentiment is coming from. Moving on, if you work in DevSecOps, pay attention to this one. Security researchers at Jamf have found that threat actors are increasingly abusing VS Code remote tunnels feature. Because VS Code tunnels are designed by Microsoft and often allow listed in corporate firewalls, attackers are using them to establish command and conquer channels or exfiltrate data right under the nose of security tools. It's a classic living off the land attack, so using legitimate developer tools for malicious ends. You might want to audit who has tunnel enabled in your org today. And this is so common when you use VS Code with the remote environments, especially. On the front-end side, we have very cool open source release called ChartGPU. As the name suggests, it's a charting library on top of WebGPU. The performance is wild. It can render 1 million data points at 60 frames per second, right in the browser. So if you have ever crashed a browser tab trying to load a massive data set into standard canvas or SVG chart, this is a solution. It currently supports scatter, here you can see, and heat maps and lines, and really shows off what WebGPU standard is capable of. now that is hitting finally some maturity. But those shaders are pretty complicated to make, but still exciting. Okay. Um, and another prompt injection. Security researchers have demonstrated how Google's Gemini assistant can be tricked into leaking private calendar data. Because Gemini has access to Google's workspace extensions, a carefully crafted malicious prompt delivered via a shared document or email can confuse the model into reading out your schedule to an attacker. It highlights the persistent risk of connecting LLMs to personal data sources. We probably had this story every other day already. So instruction tuning is not a security boundary. You cannot just tune the custom instructions to prevent this. If the model can read your data, it can be potentially tricked into sharing it. For mobile developers out there, a tool called Skip just went fully free and open source. Skip takes a unique approach to cross-platform development. Instead of separate runtime like Flutter or React Native, Skip transpiles your Swift UI code directly into Kotlin or Jetpack Compose for Android. This means you write one iOS app in Swift and you get native Android app on the other side. Opening the source code for this is a huge move for the adoption. If you love Swift but hate ignoring Android market, this is worth a look. This is an interesting direction. Okay, we're also seeing a small language model, SLM, trend continue with Sweep. They just released an open weights 1.5 billion parameter model designed specifically for code autocomplete. The twist here is that it is trained on next edit prediction, not just next token. So it tries to guess the logical edit you're about to make. So this is something that you have in Cursor and VS Code with tap, tap, tap. At 1.5 billion parameters, it's small enough to run locally on a decent laptop with very low latency. It's a great to see more specialized local first models that don't require sending your proprietary code to Cloud API. So there are tools that can connect Olama to VS Code, for example, and actually implement this. And this is part of it is this. If you work in game dev or ML, you know that Git is terrible at handling large binary files. So there's a new tool called Lix launched today to solve this. Lix is a version control system built from ground up for large assets, textures, models, and datasets. It offers a Git compatible interface, but handles deduplication and storage in a way that doesn't bloat your repo size. Or doesn't choke you when you try to download it. So it's aiming to replace a clunky Git LFS workflow with something native and performant. And definitely want to watch if your repo is gigabytes in size, which is very common for game assets. But the sentiment is, do we need another version control? Versus yes, LFS is painful enough. So do check out the comments there. And finally, a bit of engineering candy to close us out. A developer shared deep dive into optimizing a satellite propagation engine using Zik. So they managed to compute 43 million satellite positions in just 3 seconds without using GPU. So this is a master class in data-oriented design and simmed instructions and memory layout optimization. If you want to remember what modern CPU is actually capable of when you strip away the layers of abstraction, you'll read this blog post. So this is pure performance joy. And you can see here a bunch of simmed stuff going on. Pretty cool. I'll see you tomorrow.